A very pleasant evening to you all, my dear participants. Continuing our ESG journey with BRSR. In our last sessions, we had seen what section A is about and how we fill it. In this session, we are going to see what section B is, what section B is in BRSR. I will show you the BRSR template released by SEBI. I'll display this here. I have extracted the pages from BRSR of section B, and it consists of only 2 pages. And as you can see here, section B is about management and process disclosures. We need to understand first what management is. Management is planning, organizing, and controlling of resources, be it human resource or material resource. That we call as management. And process, the exact way of how it is done is called as process. So BRSR measures how a entity or a company manages and what processes do take place in an entity. And to measure this, it has got 12 metrics or 12 serial numbers we can say here. And we'll see each of these. And as you can see through this PDF, you can see that there are 9 P's, P1, P2, P3, P4 to P9. These are the principles set by NGRBC, National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct. We should first have an understanding of what these 9 principles are before we get into this section B. We have already discussed this in brief, but let me go a bit into it again, or we'll revise it. The 9 principles, P9, are: first one is ethical governance, second is sustainable products, employee well-being, stakeholder engagement, human rights, environmental protection, policy advocacy, inclusive development, and customer value. What are all these? Ethical governance. An entity or a company is required to carry out its operations with ethics as its core principle. Ethics in the sense, values. Whatever it does has to be put transparent. Then there will be no chance for misdoings, misconduct, misbehavior. And everything is to be accountable. Accountability is the criteria. So, principle 1, which says about ethical governance, is all about ethics, transparency, and accountability. The second principle, P2, it is about sustainable products. Products that are sustainable. We know that sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So this is to be felt even in the products, sustainable products. These products have a long chain, value chain. They had a long history and they have a great future. Considering it from the perspective of a standpoint of the company as the gate, as the entity. Because for a company or a manufacturing unit, there should be raw materials with which it can convert it into products. So where do we source these raw materials from? It could be got from the mining, say iron. It is mined from deep inside the earth, extracted from there, and then it is transported and brought to the industry, manufacturing unit. And from there it is processed to our required product, and then it leaves the company gate. And then it goes out to the vendor, to the customers through various units, and this again reaches the customer. And even then, even after it reaches the customer and serving its life period, it would go for recycling or reuse or reduced usage, and then it would go back to its original place of where it had originated. We call this cradle to grave life cycle analysis. Sustainability should be there in each and every part of its life cycle. Sustainable practices, use it to the fullest of your requirement optimally, leaving space for it to be left to the future generations to come. In fact, it is said that we don't inherit resources. We, in fact, borrow it from our future generations. So, with this concept in mind, every product is to be designed and produced. Then we call this sustainable production. Second principle. Coming to the third principle, employee well being. When the employees are the core for a unit, industrial entity, and the workplace safety is of paramount importance. Similarly, the health of the workers and equal opportunities to be given for all the workers based on their skills and talents. All these are to be ensured to build a good work atmosphere. This is the third pillar of the 9 principles. Employee well-being, the third one, P3. And coming to P4, stakeholder engagement. Stakeholder is now a modified term for stakeholder is interested party. A party who is not a person or a medium, which is not directly connected with the entity or a company, but is somehow related to it. Even if it is not directly involved in the value chain, it won't be anywhere in the vendor chain. It won't involve in the process. Neither will that aspect be purchasing the goods. Even then, it could be a person or it could be a medium or anything. Even then, its influence could be felt on the entity. Such an aspect we call as an interested party. And these interested parties are to be taken care of. It can be a vendor, it can be a customer, it can be anything, an employee even. And how do we care? By being responsive, giving response properly to the questions raised, to the problems raised, to the concerns raised, and giving proper satisfaction to the value of the product which we are giving. Value of the product is to be given to the interested party, and in case of any queries or dissatisfactions, those have to be resolved responsibly, and this should be done in a right quick manner. Responsiveness should be there in the responsibility. So this we call as stakeholder engagement as the fourth principle. The fifth principle is human rights. Human rights, whatever it is, as per global standards, these are to be equally given to all its value chain, be it the people, workforce, or even beyond the gate of the entity. Environmental protection. Environmental protection stands as the ninth principle. So protecting the environment, be it water resources, be it air or solids or energy, anything. We all know how dangerous global warming is turning into. We are experiencing the El Nino syndrome, which is causing lots of damage to property as well as lives of people. So it's of paramount importance that we pay proper attention to our environment, reduce greenhouse gases, and take measures towards protecting our environment. Similarly, with water, conserving water properly and utilizing it optimally to the fullest extent, and using the resource mindfully, reducing pollution of air and water. Similarly, waste management in all its types, in all its categories, management of waste. So all these to be properly paid attention to, even energy management. Your energy to be utilized rightfully, energy to be sourced from clean sources. These are the measures to be taken with energy utilization also in right aspects. And the seventh principle is P7 is policy advocacy. Policy advocacy in the sense engage with policies laid by the government or regulators or any industry by the industry itself. All of these directed towards public welfare. Properly adopting, properly following all these policies and directing it towards public welfare is all about public policy advocacy. Seventh pillar. Now the eighth pillar is inclusive development, P8. Inclusive development is development for everybody. The company profits, everybody should profit, prosperity to all. I have said that this should be a win-win situation where everybody wins. And this is compliant, and also there is regulation for it. Companies which have which follow a certain financial landmarks are mandatorily required to do CSR activities, corporate social responsibility. Even beyond that, companies can do that for the goodwill of the people, for the brand development, brand building, and for the growth of everybody around. And the next one is P9, customer value. High quality products to be given to customers. Customers should be getting their value for the money they are paying, and they should get satisfied. These products should be available to them through their life, through its right lifetime. So these are the 9 principles on which this BRSR is built. These were given by NGRBC, National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct. And all these 9 principles should be applied for all the 12 questions which we are posing here. BRSR has posed here. And now I just scroll through this section B. It's just 2 pages. And you can see that there are 12 questions or serial numbers here. I'll just call them serial numbers for clarity and brevity. And we can see that up to 6, 1 to 6 questions or serial numbers are all about policy and management processes. Whereas 7 to 12 serial numbers, these are about governance, leadership, and oversight. Now coming by the questions serial numbers one by one. Whether your entity's policy or policies cover each principle and its core elements of the NGRBCs. That is all the 9 principles. First thing is, does your entity have nice policies in place? That is the first requirement. Once those policies are there, are these policies in alignment with NGRBCs? That is the next thing. Whether it is present or not, just we say this much. Yes or no, that's all here. We go into the depth of it later. Next is in 1B, has the policy been approved by the board? Has board of directors, have they approved this? Because it should be in the sight of everybody, especially the board members who would be managing it. Managing is, I said it's about planning, organization, and controlling of resources or policies, whatever. So it should have been approved by the board. If whether it is approved or not, we state here, we say whether it is yes or no. And BRSR asks for web link of the policies if available. All the policies which are available mapped to each of these principles have to be put in the websites, and the website links have to be pasted here. Code of conduct, values, ethics, all these are to be pasted in each of these boxes provided here. The next second question or second serial number is about whether the entity has translated the policy into procedures. Standard operating procedures, all these available. If they are available, to what extent are these satisfying all these principles? Whether the entity or the company has translated these policies into SOPs. We should be having everything in hand, and we should be producing it. We should be able to produce it, and we should have it verified. This is the work done by VVBs, validation and verification bodies. And this has been made mandatory by SEBI from 2026 onwards. Core BRSR and verification, assurance. So here we see that we make sure that whether all the entities have translated these policies into SOPs, satisfying all these principles 1 to 9. We'll see this with an example later. I'll just briefly explain what these questions are about. We'll take an example and see what these are. And the next one is, do the enlisted policies extend to your value chain partners? To the value chain partners in the sense, I've been telling you that this could be vendors, mining, right from mining, it's vendors, it's transporters, it's the people who are working in the company and out of gate, after the gate, and supply chain, and it goes to the customers, recyclers, and reusers, all these people. So is are your policies extending to all these value chains? Or in other words, if you're purchasing a raw material from a vendor, is it as per these 9 principles? Is that vendor following these 9 principles? This is the question. Not that you alone as an entity, your company following these 9 principles. Is your vendor also following these 9 principles? And are you sourcing your material from such a vendor? There could be several vendors, right? And all those vendors might not be satisfying these principles. Some could be there who would be genuinely doing this, who had their core and assurance verified. And so if are you actually purchasing your raw materials from such vendors? That is the question. And as such, which principle is that vendor satisfying? That should be provided here. That is what is meant by, do the enlisted policies extend to your value chain partners? We just say yes or no here, but in assurance, it is verified by VVBs and certification is given. It is either reasonable assurance or basic assurance. So the next one would be name of the national and international codes, certifications, labels, standards. Example, Forest Stewardship Council, Fair Trade, Rainforest Alliance, Trustee. These are various standards are given here as examples. So we are required to say which standards are being followed by this company or entity and what principle is satisfied by that particular standard. Say ISO 14064. It could be satisfying principle 6, which is environment, or something else could be about CSR, some standard which specifies CSR, industrial standard. So that could be placed in P8 and the standard has to be named here. And human rights, if it is there, which is the standard, and is this company adopting it? And that has to be placed in P5 here. So that way, various standards and their principles which align with it are to be written here and placed here. This is about the 4th question. Now the 5th one is specific commitments, goals, and targets set by the entity with defined timelines, if any. See, specific commitments. We got 9 principles, and in all these 9 principles, we as a company or an entity might not be completely satisfying them all. In fact, nobody does. We are all in the process of development. We are in the process of attaining it. As I was saying in my last session, we are at striving to reach net zero. And after that, we will be achieving net positivity also. That is a goal and aspiration. It's an aspiration. So we should have some commitments. We should have some goals, and we should set some targets towards achieving them. So what are they? And what is it with respect to each principle is to be stated here. Specific commitments, goals, and targets set by the entity with definite or defined timelines, if any. So for example, we go with P6, which is environmental protection. So what would our target be? Say we are committed to net zero. By which year? Say 2035. We can go for that. No need that we should go with 2070 itself, because our nation has specified that as a target. In fact, there are some companies, very few of them, who have attained it already by 2026. So we can go by those net zero targets immediately within 5 years. Near term net zero targets could be we can place in 2031. It is revised now, or we can go for even beyond it, 2034. So we can even go for attaining net zero targets or long term targets also by 2031 itself. No, nothing wrong. It all depends, and it all depends on the commitment, possibilities, and feasibilities or to be worked out. Now, the specific commitments, goals, and targets have to be set as per SMART principles. SMART principles in the sense SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So specifically, if it is net zero, we would be saying by the year 2035, I will be reaching net zero long-term targets. By 2030 itself, I will be reaching net zero short-term, near-term targets. So that commitment should be given specifically. By the end of December 31st, 2035, my company would be having all renewable energy, or at least you can say 80% of energy used by my company will be from renewable sources. By the end of 2035, December 31st, that will be happening in my company. If you can say that, that you call it as a commitment which is SMART. Similarly, you can say that I would be making all my employees commute through electric vehicles by the end of 2034, May 31st. If you can set this as your goal and target, and then you call it that you have set the target there, because it is specific. You're specifically saying that by 2034, by 2034 you'll be having all your employees commuting by electric vehicles. Specifically, you're saying who will be coming, what will be there, which vehicles. You're also saying that this will be from clean sources of electricity. No use if it is from thermal power plant. It should be from a hydroelectric power plant. The recharge battery should get electricity from its clean sources, renewable sources. This much of clarity should be there. Specific, measurable in the sense you can't land all of a sudden onto a May 31st, 2034 onto getting all the vehicles, electric vehicles. You have to do it in stages. Maybe in 2028, you would be procuring a few electric vehicles and giving some subsidy to your employees so that they can purchase it. You give some incentives and you encourage them. So at least 20% of my employees would get converted into electric vehicles by 28. So that is a measurable goal. In 2 years, you'll be doing this. Then a next target, by 2030, I'll be measuring who has done this, who has not done this. The problems they are facing would be measured by me, or they will known by me in the sense my company. And then I would be going for giving further incentives, or maybe 50% of it I would be bearing on, and maybe I would be installing electric chargers in my company itself, so that they need not go for charging it from their houses. So charging facility is given me by me free of cost, or I will make some provision where I can procure that. I'll work out all that and make it possible. So that could be the second stage. So measurable, if at the end of 2030 I'm able to achieve what I had earlier planned, then I'm in the path towards my success, and I will definitely be achieving it in the year 2034. That will happen for sure, because I'm measuring it in stages. I'm doing what I had earlier thought of. I'm doing it, I will do it. Measurably, we are going towards our goals. And this should all be attainable. You can't say that I will be getting electricity from Mars or something like that. No, what is possible humanly should be given. So that is attainability, smart, and relevant. It should be relevant to what you're doing. That is an important thing. And finally, time bound. So you're setting specific timeline. By March 31st, 2034, I will be having all my employees commuting it, 80% of my employees commuting with electric vehicles. Very specific, very clear, attainable, possible, step by step, stage by stage, no difficulty. If you can follow this, you can achieve this. So this way, if you go for it, then you call it then this is the specific commitment that you are given with defined timelines. So too, for each of the principles, ethics, sustainable products, employee well-being, stakeholder engagement, environmental protection, policy advocacy, inclusive development, customer value, in each and every one of these, if you can put such a specific smart targets, that will be your major step in going towards your BRSR satisfaction, ESG satisfaction, satisfying ESG. So this is all about the fifth one, specific commitments, goals and targets. So here you're just setting the goals and targets. Now come to the next one, performance of the entity against the specific commitments, goals and targets, along with the reasons in case the same are not met. So here in the sixth serial number, we say how much is it performed, how is the performance. Say a child is taking a book and reading it all day long, that child reads, and at the end of the examination year, when the exam results are out, if the child performs very poor, this is just an example, not to insult anyone, if the child performs very poor, then there is no point in what the child has done all through the year. It should be performance based, right? How actually has the child read, has that child taken notes, is that child able to memorize it, is that child able to apply it to real life problems and principles, is that child able to write the questions properly and able to impress the examiner. So these are some metrics or parameters, and if that child is doing well in all these things, then we can say that at the end the performance also has improved, and definitely that child has achieved its goal of getting nice marks, say first class or something. So here also, see the fifth question is about specific commitments, and sixth one is about performance measure. We measure the performance. Are the targets actually being performed? Done. Performance is doing. Is it actually being done? To what extent is it done? By what percentage has it been done? So performance of the entity against specific commitments. Fifth question is about setting the goals. Sixth question is about measuring the performance, that is measuring how much you are doing actually, whatever you had already thought of and set as your goals. So this will be the sixth one. So 5 is about setting, 6 is about doing what you had already set. So this will complete the 6 points in policy and management processes. Now we'll go to the next aspect or the next part, which is governance, leadership and oversight. Here, the statement by director responsible for the business responsibility report, highlighting ESG related challenges, targets and achievements. Listed entity has flexibility regarding the placement of this disclosure. So here, who does this? Director responsible. This is the work to be done by the director of the company or the entity. So the seventh question is for the director. The director should say what? Business responsibility report should be given by the director. And in that, what should be there? It should highlight ESG related challenges. And also it should have the targets. And it should have achievements, whether the director or the entity has achieved any of them already. These are the things to be disclosed. So as per the seventh question, the director of the entity should be giving a business responsibility report, and that report should be having ESG related challenges first thing, targets next thing, and achievements, if any. Have these targets be partially or fully achieved, or whether the earlier set targets have been achieved by now. All these details should be mentioned there. So this is about the seventh question. Now, this next question, 8, details of the highest authority responsible for implementation and oversight of the business responsibility project policy or policies. So who is the highest authority? Is this the CEO or the director or the CFO? Who exactly is responsible for implementation and oversight? That clarity should be there. That hierarchy should be there. We have got 9 principles. We have got set of goals. We have got a roadmap to implement these. And now who is exactly implementing this, who is overlooking or making an oversight of all these things to make sure that all these are managed properly. We have seen already that management is all about planning, organizing, and controlling what these goals, these set goals and implementation of those goals. Planning is to be done on them. Organization of all the available resources towards specific tasks should be done properly, and then they are to be controlled. They are to be properly in control. Who? The resources, whether it be human man resource or it could be material resource, human or material resource. So this is about 8, question 8, who the person is who does this. That clarity alone is enough to be stated here in this 8 point. So that much of importance is given for this point 8. Just name the person or the position. CFO. The person may not be actually important. Whoever occupies that position, CFO, what that he is responsible for this. Coming to the next one, does the entity, ninth one, does the entity have a specified committee of the board director responsible for decision making on sustainability related issues? So is there a board for this? Are there board members for this who do this? Is it just one person there sitting, or is he having a team of people who does this? And who is that team? Who is the board? Who are the board members? Who are below the board members under direct control of each member? And what is the actual hierarchy of each, and everything is done as per principles 1 to 9. So this is given in point 9, question 9. The next one is 10th one, details of review of NGRBCs by the company, National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct. So are you reviewing this? What is to be reviewed? Performance against policies. You got policies. You got human values policies. You got water management policies. You say that you should have a recycling plant here. You say that you should have a rechargeable unit there, and you should be. You say that all the renewables electricity should be turned into renewable sources from renewable. You got some policies, and to what extent are you performing the policies which you yourself have laid? That performance, is it being reviewed? To what extent have you reviewed it? So that is why this is said that this is not for the employees but for the management, governance, leadership, and oversight. This is for the governance, leadership, management, oversight. So this is for the managerial positions. So is these 9 principles mapped against the policies, and is the performance being measured? And how frequently do you measure them? Is it done annually or half-yearly, quarterly, or weekly, monthly? What exactly? Which principle has been reviewed and what's the outcome of it? So that is to be filled here in this 10, say we can call A. And in 10B, we'll see compliance with the statutory requirements of relevance to the principles and rectification of any non-compliances. See, we have seen earlier that there are some standards in 4th, serial number 4. We have seen that there are some standards, anti-corruption, and it's the several standards, ISO standards. As per principle, we have got standards. So these are statutory requirements. Now, the board of directors, the director and the board of directors and the higher management are required to rectify if there are any non-compliances in this company. So compliance with the statutory requirement of relevance to the principles have to be mentioned here. We have to say or mention that it is compliant. And in case if it is not compliant, definitely everything will not be compliant. Some non-compliances will be there, non-conformities will be there. And we need to state what rectification measures have been initiated. Definitely nobody will be perfect. So what has to be taken to reach that perfection? What it takes to reach that perfection? So those measures are to be mentioned here. Rectification measures on non-compliances. So this is about the 10B. And coming to the 11th serial number, has the entity carried out independent assessment or evaluation of the working of its policies by an external agency? Yes or no? If yes, provide name of the agency. So, which agency? We have seen that there are external verification bodies. So, they give us assurance. Two types of assurances are given: detailed assurance or rational assurance, and limited assurance. Limited assurance, and we got one more as reasonable assurance. Limited and reasonable assurances are there. So, which assurance is being given? Who gave this assurance? SGS, DNV, which one? Deloitte. Who is the external agency which has worked on this? It could be even ISO 9001. Has the auditors come over and have they overlooked, have they audited and seen the working principles of all these 9 as per their principle? Is it satisfied? Is this process done? Has the entity carried out independent assessment? And was this done by an external agency? If it is done, who did it? And the name of that agency has to be provided here. So this has to be done for each principle 1 to 9. So this is about 11th point. The next one is 12th one. If answer to question 1 above is no, what is first question? We'll see. That is, not all principles are covered by a policy. Then the reason is to be stated. So what is the first question here? We'll roll up and see what it is. Whether your entity's policies cover each principle, and was it approved by the board, and whether you have SOPs for that, standard operating procedures for that. That is the first one. Now here in 12th one, it is said, do you have policies in place? And if they are not there, then we have to answer these questions. This is answerable only if your answer to question number 1 is no. If your answer to question number 1 is yes, then you need not answer 12th question. Right? So the 12th question, A, again, the first one in this is, the entity does not consider the principles material to its business. So I told you earlier that materiality is all about what matters to your business. So for a furniture industry, wood is its materiality. Without wood, without trees and wood, a furniture industry might be able to do nothing. So materiality for it is wood. So in that, certain principles might not be actually relevant. So if such is the case, then you say that this entity does not consider the principle material to its business. Where one particular thing could be there. Definitely it will be there, all of them. If at all, by exception, any one is not satisfied, then you just have to say that it is that particular principle which was not satisfied here. Next one is, the entity is not at a stage where it is in a position to formulate and implement the policies on specified principles. Insufficiencies. These insufficiencies could be due to anything, due to say the company is not well off to do it, or it's not able to allocate it for its funds immediately towards doing this. Maybe in course of time it can do it in at a later point of time. So that reason has to be mentioned here. Third one is, the entity does not have the financial or human and technical resources available for the task. So if such is the case, where human and financial capital is not available for doing it, even then can be mentioned here, no wrong, because that will not be the same forever. Once you are able to identify what your problem is, there is a possibility or a chance to overcome it, rectify it. If you are not able to identify what your problem is at all, there is no possibility of rectifying it in future either. So that is the reason why you are required to mention what your problem is here. And the next one is, it is planned to be done in the next financial year. If that is the case, you have to mention it. Next year I'll be doing it. Until now I was not able to do it due to some reason or the other, but I'm trying to do it the next year. I may be doing it. I'll do it. You mention it here. Any other reason, if it is there, you specify it. So this is it, my dear participants, about the section B questionnaire. Now we will see some leaders, industrial leaders, who have filled this section B. We'll see them question by question and we'll see what answers they have given. We'll take the case of Reliance Industries. Anything can be taken, but since we have already seen section A with reference to Reliance Industries, we'll continue with it. So I have isolated the BRSR report submitted by Reliance, and I have said earlier this is available and can be used for educational purposes, nothing wrong. Even for research purposes, anybody can use this. So if you see this, the first question is whether your entity's policy or policies cover each principle and its core elements of the NGRBC. So that is the question, and you say yes or no. Reliance says that it's all yes for all the 9 principles. All 9 principles are covered by Reliance. Whether and all these are in accordance with or in alignment with NGRBC, 9 principles. The policies of Reliance are in alignment with 9 principles of NGRBC. That is what is meant by the answer given in 1A. And the answer for 1B, the question is, has the policy been approved by the board? Yes or no? So it has said that it's yes for all. The board has approved all this. And the third one is web link of the policies if they are available. So for each and every principle, for P1, what is the code of conduct? What are the policies? Various policies are given here. So for P1, it is code of conduct, values and behavior, anti-bribery, anti-corruption, vigil mechanism and whistleblower policy, code of practice and procedures for fair disclosure of unpublished price-sensitive information, policy on materiality of related party transactions and on dealing with RPTs, related party transactions. So all these are given here. So 12, 14 are given here for principle 1. Similarly for principle 2, principle 3, principle 4, principle 5. So you can see here for principle 5, it is equal opportunities policy for persons with disabilities and transgenders, code of conduct, the code here. The 6th one is about environment, health, safety and environment policy, code of conduct and code risk management policy. So for each and everything, they have given links, and these links are to be provided. These links have to be prepared by each entity and industry. If it is not done, if it was not done, we are here. We have mastered this, we have seen this all, and we'll be able to help you all in formulating these policies as well. So coming to the next one. So that was the first question. Coming to the second question. First question, A, B, C parts we have seen. Coming to the second question, whether the entity has translated the policy into procedures, whether there are SOPs or not, standard operating procedures. It is there. It says that it is there. It is BRSR asks whether it is there or not, yes or no. And who checks this? Assurance providers, Deloitte or ISO 9001 auditors. They give their verifications and validations, and they give either detailed reports or reasonable reports. Now coming to the next one, do the enlisted policies extend to your value chain partners? We have seen that value chain partners could be vendors or transporters or customers or anybody. So it is said that it is there. Yes. Next one is name of the national and international codes or certifications such as OHSAS, ISO standards, BIS standards, and what each is with respect to each principle is mentioned here. See, for principle 1, it is ISO 9001, GRI standard 2021, UNGC principles, ISO 37001. These are related to P1. So what is P1? It is ethical governance. So ethical governance principles are all as per these standards. Similarly, P6, environment standards. So it's true for all the 9 principles, we have got standards. This is about the fourth question. Coming to the fifth one, specific commitments, goals, and targets set by the entity with defined timelines, if any. What are the specific commitments given? We have said that these commitments could be either renewable energy transition or reduction in GHGs or sequestration of GHGs from the atmosphere. Anything, it could be anything. So we'll see what RIL, Reliance, has given on this. Reliance has set a target to achieve net zero or net carbon zero by 2035. Target, net zero target is 2035, you see here. It is not near-term target, it is long-term target or final target. It is 2035, it becomes net zero. As part of its strategic vision, the company is leveraging its intellectual, physical, and financial resources to transform core operations and drive sustainable growth. The key tenets of Reliance carbon reduction strategy include improving energy efficiency and reducing energy intensity of operations. Improving energy efficiency. How do we improve energy efficiency? By changing some equipment which may not be energy efficient, by lubricating the parts, by even going for equipments or gadgets which have got good 5-star rating instead of 2-star, 3-star rating, and thus reduce the energy intensity in its operations. That is one measure. The second one is transitioning to clean and renewable energy. What renewable energy can we go for? It could be solar panels, rooftop solar panels, or ground top solar panels, or FSPVs, floating solar photovoltaics, any of these, or you can go for windmills. So Reliance has set its goals this way. Its specific commitments are these. It might go for tidal energy, it might go for geothermal energy. We'll see what it exactly does. The next one is about making carbon dioxide as a recyclable resource. Carbon dioxide we see as something which would cause global warming, but carbon dioxide is an essential element, essential aspect for life. Without carbon dioxide, trees would not be able to manufacture their bulk, their food. We would not be able to get grains or fruits or vegetables or leaves for our food. So carbon dioxide is essential for trees. So here, making carbon dioxide as a recyclable resource. How do we actually do this? We can do this with, say, a small example. Carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is sequestered by trees. It is captured in the trunk of the tree, and that trunk of the tree or the waste of the tree which was there, say grains, if you take paddy husk, or if you say corn cobs, this all consists of carbon stored inside it. This carbon can be taken, it was taken from the atmosphere, it has stored it in this form. We take this carbon, we make a process, we do a process called pyrolysis, where we burn this under controlled conditions, especially in the absence of air, we call it pyrolysis. So after burning it to a certain degrees of temperature, 550 or whatever is required, we get charred coal out of it, and this we call as biochar. This char has rich carbon in it. So this was taken from the atmosphere by the tree, and we have processed it to make it biochar. And this biochar can be reused as a resource. This is what you call it as recyclable resource. How do we do this? We put this either into the soil and land so that the quality of the soil improves. The plants grow better, trees grow better, and the yield give a better yield. Or this biochar can be put into, say, bricks, and construction activities can be done with these bricks. So we have captured atmospheric carbon dioxide and we have stored it into a brick. We are using this as a resource, as biochar brick we can use it, and this is a resource now. Now we can use it on pavements, road pavements. Biochar brick or biochar pavements can be used. and on them we can use this as a resource. So this is just an example. There are some tens of methods available to recycle carbon dioxide and utilize it as a resource. So Reliance says that it is doing it. We'll see what it is doing. The next one is upgrading syngas to high value chemicals. Syngas is synthetic gas. Synthetic gas is the one which is produced during pyrolysis, production of biochar. You get a gas called syngas or synthetic gas, and it has got high calorific value. This synthetic gas can be utilized as a fuel for industrial purposes, or we can use it to produce high value chemicals. You will be surprised if I say that syngas can be used to provide fertilizers. It can be used even to produce diesels, synthetic diesel. So such valuable is this syngas. So this way, syngas can be upgraded to high value chemicals. So we'll see if Reliance actually does this. Replacing transportation fuel with cleaner alternatives. Fuel used for transportation is replaced with, say, solar energy or tidal energy. Cleaner alternatives are used. And what we do for the fuel which we have replaced, that is covered in the next point. Converting transportation fuels to valuable petrochemicals and material building blocks. This fuel is translated or converted into material building blocks. How is it done? Wonderful it is. We'll see that. Now, what actually is Reliance doing on all these things? Aligned to its strategic vision, the company is also accelerating the scale up of its new energy and new materials business. This transformation is anchored in establishing and enabling 100 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030. So this is the goal and target. Imagine 100 gigawatts of renewable energy. I think this could be the biggest in the world. I have heard of plants which are capable of doing about 100 MB megawatts or 500 megawatts or even 1 gigawatt. 100 gigawatts of renewable energy is indeed a very huge scale. And I'm sure, I have not verified it, but it should be a one of its kind, a unique one it should be. Establishing and enabling 100 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030. Very ambitious one. Investing across the value chain, including in emerging technologies and strategic partnerships. Next one is establishing integrated gigafactories at the 5,000-acre Dhirubhai Ambani Green Energy Giga Complex in Jamnagar. This is another ambitious one. Gigafactories in its 5,000-acre Green Energy Complex situated in Jamnagar. So these are its goals. The company continues to refine its strategy and execution roadmap with the aim to achieving the net zero goal as planned by the year 2035. So these are the specific commitments given by Reliance. Very attractive, very encouraging, very nice. Now coming to the next one, I have said earlier that fifth point is about setting goals, and sixth point question is about performance measurement. Not just setting the goals would be sufficient. Measure them, see the performance. How good is it performing? Is your entity performing towards reaching your goals or commitments? So Reliance, what it says here. Reliance continues to make steady progress towards its net zero target by 2025, with a focused approach to reducing operational GHG emissions through energy conservation, renewable energy transition, carbon capture and utilization, and industrial decarbonization. So what has it done? In 24-25, it has consumed 5.4 million gigajoules of renewable energy. So this is a proof that it has done. A milestone has been achieved by it in its path towards net zero. The Jamnagar, next point, we'll see what it has done. The Jamnagar manufacturing division was successfully connected to the central transmission utility, intended to facilitate green power imports and enhance power cycle efficiency. So this is the second performance metric. It has done that. It has connected to the central transmission utility, that is grid. It has produced some electricity and it has connected to the grid. This was done and they have shown it that it was achieved. So this is a second milestone. And similarly, other sites such as Hazira, Dahej, Hoshiarpur, and Barabanki maintained co-firing of biomass, contributing for green energy usage. So this is another metric, a proof that it has achieved it. And what is being done? New growth projects at Dahej and Nagothani are also progressing, with an emphasis on green, efficient design and process integration. So it also says that Reliance is also advancing its new energy agenda with the ongoing developments in solar and hydrogen and rapid scale up of compressed biogas (CBG) plants, further strengthening its integrated clean energy ecosystem. So this way, clearly, Reliance has set its goals and it has shown that it is performing it. It has made a roadmap and it is showing that it is performing, achieving the milestones one by one, and it is very confident that by the year 2035 it will achieve its net zero goals. So this way, this amount of clarity will definitely lead an entity towards success of what it had wanted to do. It will do. That's all is success. Now we'll see the next one: governance, leadership, and oversight. I see the time is already 7:01, and we were able to cover only the first aspect of it, that is management and process disclosures. So we will stop it here for this session. In the next session, we'll discuss about what Reliance has done in governance, leadership, and oversight. How exactly was it instrumental in implementing all these things at the managerial level? How management has done this perfectly with precision? That we will see in our next session. Thank you all, my dear participants, for your active engagement and participation. Now I close this session here and open it for discussions. If any of you have any doubts or clarifications to be required that I can clarify, I request you to give you proceed. Open for questions, open for discussion. Okay, in the absence of any question or clarification required, I'll stop my presentation here. Thank you for your participation. We'll see in the next session. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you.